How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Could XRP hit $15 or $35, basically doing up to a 50x? One crypto influencer said that it could just today. I'm going to be talking about this, his criteria for what it would take to get there. We also have a lot of other big news, including Tesla news, Netflix earnings news. We have a lot in the crypto space. What makes Bitcoin so secure and why it would be very hard to do a 51% attack against it, where the big money is piling their money in or pushing their money into crypto, or how are they doing that. Also want to talk about Tether. There's some news about that, and we have a lot just to cover in general. So stay through to the end. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you can see future videos just like this one. Also, there are links underneath the video. In case you want to trade on leverage, you can check out the link to Margex in case you want to buy stocks and get rewarded by doing just that. You can check out the link to moomoo. And if you want to know why I'm buying and selling, you can check out the link to Patreon. I just added some more spots there. Now, crypto is looking pretty good, up 1.4% in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin really just floating around the upper 29,000s, lower 30,000s. Ethereum looking fine around 1900. We go down a little bit. XRP is pumping again, up 8.7%. When we look at the price, it is close, if not at, where it hit just a few days ago. Yeah, it's right about the same level, that 82, 83 cent range, and it's doing quite well. I want to hear your thoughts on why that is underneath the video. Is it just people rereading everything that happened last week with the SEC? Is there some new catalyst? From what I could tell, there isn't a ton of new catalyst, but some of the payment infrastructure cryptos are moving up here today. Cardano is also moving up 6.7%. Solana moving up 5.2%. So a lot of people just kind of piling in, it looks like, to some of these altcoins. And one person on crypto Twitter and on YouTube here thinks that XRP could go up substantially here. Ben Armstrong, BitBoy Crypto, whether you like him or not, he holds a lot of influence in the crypto space. He says $15 is reasonable, I believe, over the next 18 months or so for XRP. If they IPO and time it correctly, could be up to $35 in my opinion. Make no mistake, it may not go that high, but XRP is breaking an all-time high this cycle, save some sort of pointless vindictive SEC appeal, which he thinks is a low chance. If we get there, right, I hold a couple XRP right now, not very much at all, maybe literally like 10 of them or something like that, just to set up a wallet. If we get there to $15, that would be a substantial gain from here. It would be a 18x or so from where we are now. And if you had bought a couple months ago, it would be a 35x or something like that. I don't want to say that's very likely either, because that would put it at about 3 or 4 times the market cap of Ethereum right now. It would be like the equivalent of a $7,000 or $8,000 Ethereum right now in terms of market cap. So I don't know about that. A lot of people on XRP in that community are super bullish. I was actually trying to set up an interview with someone today to talk about XRP and their price expectations. We'll have that eventually, but let me know in the comment section. If you're a big XRP fan, do you think it could get to that point? Let me know in the comment section. Now, a lot of people ask me, if I'm holding cash, where should I put it? Should I put it in USDC? Should I put it in a bank? Should I put it into USDT? There's some news on USDT today. Lots of chatter regarding USDT over the last few days. It's not going anywhere. This is coming from AP Abacus, who has been in the know on a lot of the things happening behind the scenes in crypto. He says, I cannot stress this enough. Not going anywhere. There are deep sources that have made it abundantly clear that Tether is protected and vital, even beyond crypto. Interesting. Not sure exactly what that means beyond crypto, but it is nice to know that USDT and Tether are going to be okay, right? Even if there's a slight depeg here and there, I think USDT and USDC are probably both pretty good, but personally, I keep most of my cash that's on the sidelines in the bank, because I think it's probably even safer there, and I can still get a 3 or 5% savings account yield there as well. But for some people, they can't do that because they don't have access to banks and they need to keep their money in crypto. I understand that too. It is easier just to keep money for crypto in stable coins. And part of that is to just dependent on how much you want to invest. Some apps only allow you to do $10,000 or $15,000 or $50,000 a day, and that's not enough liquidity for some people. We're seeing large institutions continue to pile in to crypto-related stocks. CLSK up 6.9% here today. Might have changed a little bit for some reason. This isn't updating for the aftermarket here, but 6.9% on a day where Bitcoin's done basically nothing. It's up 1% in the last 24 hours. And I've been covering this consistently, that these stocks, these crypto-related companies continue to move up every single day, it seems like. And I checked all the other crypto stocks. They're very similar, or at least they were partway through the day. Even when crypto is not moving, people are piling into these stocks to get easier access to crypto. And you can see that on days like this where there's a 6% difference here. We are going to cover some more crypto news. We're going to cover some stocks too. But first, I just want to cover this. Apple is going to develop their own OpenAI ChatGPT rival. They're jumping on the AI bandwagon. Of course, they probably already have AI technology a bit anyways. But they're trying to compete with Microsoft, with Google, with Amazon, with Tesla. And they actually hit an all-time high today. It was around 198. You can see here, just monster growth. Microsoft, I believe, also hit an all-time high either yesterday or today. The big tech company is still doing well. So I think, obviously, that's just good to see that we are back into a bull market. Now, this is something that I find really fascinating. Do you want to 51% attack the Bitcoin network? This is one of the main concerns that people have about Bitcoin beyond regulatory, is this 51% attack, basically overpowering the network. Here's a conservative estimate as to what it would cost you. Total network hash rate roughly equals 390 exahash per second. And I realize this might sound a little bit boring, but if you're invested into crypto, you need to know this. You need to control about 199 exahash per second of the existing network to have 51%. This is assuming you can gain control of that existing hash power and basically not have to buy more. So you would have to buy some of the miners that are already mining Bitcoin, because obviously if they want 51% and they were just going to buy new miners, they would have to buy like 400 exahash. So this is like the cheapest way to do it, is buy it off the market, or buy it from the market that's already set in place. So at 141 terahash per second, you need 1,411,347 anti-miner S19 XPs, which are like this big. They're like 20 pounds or something like that. So you need 1.4 million of them. Assuming a modest 6 cents per kilowatt hour at a 3.05 kilowatt draw from the XPs, each machine would cost about $0.183 per hour to operate. So it would cost $258,000 per hour to attack, just like running the electricity to the miners to attack the network. So you would burn $258K per hour to attack the network, making your billions of dollars of ASICs worth nothing. That's the important part. Some people would say, well, someone big would pay $258,000 per hour. They could do that over, I don't know, a couple days, a couple weeks, and it's going to burn a lot of money. But some people have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend. But remember, like we said, this would make your ASICs worth nothing. Because if you attack, the value of the ASICs is going to be exponentially less. People overbid and push up the price of ASICs because they're good at mining Bitcoin. I was actually just talking to someone the other day that isn't in crypto at all, but he's in computers, and he's talked about how much more expensive everything has been getting on the compute side because of mining. So you need 1.4 million of these anti-miners that probably cost a couple $1,000s as well. So I mean, you're talking about a couple, like $2, $3, $4 billion, and that's just back of the napkin math. I could be wrong on that. You're talking about billions of dollars of these anti-miners, a large amount per hour to run them, and then also they're gonna be worth nothing after you attack the network. Or you can mine 6 blocks per hour, which gives you 6.25 Bitcoin per block. times 51%. So you can make about $574,000 an hour if instead of spending it, you just mine Bitcoin. So not only would it basically be impossible to pull this attack off due to the mass quantity of ASICs and energy necessary, keep in mind you actually have to get all that power, which would be insane, but even if you were somehow capable of doing it, there's a strong financial disincentive to do so. So really interesting Twitter post there. Obviously, you have to still be comfortable with that risk because there is still some risk, even if it is minute. You still have to be comfortable with that risk. Now we just got some big earnings. I think this does affect the crypto market. Obviously, if earnings are good, it could affect the chance of more rate hikes. It could affect how people see the market, how risk on they want to go, whether they think there's going to be a recession, all that. So I think it is important to look at these earnings, even if you don't have positions in these companies. Now, I do have positions in the two companies we're going to be talking about, but Netflix just came out with earnings. I have a small position in this, less than 1% of my portfolio, but I bought it after the last earnings because I thought their earnings were actually pretty good, and the stock market didn't. It fell down pretty substantially. Since then, I think I'm up 30 to 40% or something like that. Netflix second quarter revenue, $8.19 billion versus the 8.3 expected. So did not beat there, missed on that, but then had a big beat on earnings per share, $3.29 versus $2.85. Netflix second quarter streaming paid not change, up 5.89 million. Huge beat. This is what a lot of analysts look at, is basically how many subscribers are they able to add every single quarter. I think one other thing to pay attention to, these estimates don't really matter. This is what analysts think they're going to do. It doesn't tell you whether the company is actually doing well, right? A crappy company that's doing horribly can still beat estimates, because this is just, again, a guess at what they're going to do. It's not whether it's, if they beat, it's not necessarily that the company is doing great or that they're really doing well compared to other companies. For that, you actually have to look at the charts. So revenue last year, the same quarter, was about $8 billion, 7.97. Now it's 8.19. So not a huge increase, about a 4 or 5% increase, I believe. But their free cash flow came in pretty strong. If we look here in the earnings report, free cash flow was $1.39 billion. Compare that to last year. Let's pull this up a little bit bigger. Last year in the same quarter, they had free cash flow of about $13 million. So huge increase in cash flow, a little bit less than the last quarter, but that could be cyclical. They actually upward revised their free cash flow, and they're expecting now about $5 billion in free cash flow for 2023. This is up from their previous estimate of 3.5. This isn't necessarily a good thing. Part of this, the reasoning for this is because they're having difficulty because of the WGA and the SAG, basically the strikes, the writer and actor strikes. So they're having to push back some of their content, but they have a much longer dated library than a lot of other streamers. So I think they'll be okay. But when you see that free cash flow hit their bottom line, it's not necessarily always a good thing, because they would like to be spending it. But overall, I still think this company is in a dominant position. I might be adding more depending on how far it falls, because it is down at the time of this recording. We also have some Tesla news. This came out earlier today. Nissan has announced it will adopt Tesla's North American charging standard. So they're jumping on, like a lot of other companies as well, trying to piggyback off of the ease of use of just allowing their clients to, or their customers to, use that charging network instead of building out their own and spending billions of dollars doing it. Now, Tesla just announced earnings. Let's take a look at how the stock is responding, and then we'll go through it. It's up 0.6%, so not a huge move right now. But overall, it was a pretty good quarter. So let's just take a look at this right here. The gross margin was really what people were worried about, because they have had to lower the cost of their vehicles throughout the quarter, especially with interest rates rising. They were having a difficult time with that. Wedbush expected a 17.5% gross margin. They came in at 18.2. So 18.2 beat most people's expectations, I believe. They also were able to beat on a couple other aspects. EPS non-GAAP was 91 cents versus the 80 cents estimated. The EPS GAAP was 78 cents versus 68 cents estimated. So both those beat. Revenue also beat, 24.97 billion versus 24.7 billion. GAAP net income, 3.14 billion. GAAP gross margin, 18.2. So as I said, big beats there. Tesla energy storage deployments increased by 222% year over year in Q2. I mean, just think about that. 222% year over year growth in energy storage deployments. Their energy business is growing nicely as well. When we look here, services and other revenue grew 47%. Total automotive revenues, 46%. Energy generation and storage revenue, 74% growth. So deployments grew 222%, but total storage revenue and energy revenue, 74%. So yes, margin is going down slightly over the year, actually a good amount since last year, largely due to the price cuts. But overall, I think Tesla's sitting in a really good spot. And I don't know what the stock's going to do, but over the last week, it has moved up a considerable amount. I mean, we're talking 6-7%. That's after it's been up a lot over the whole year. So it wouldn't have been surprising to see a move down on Tesla because maybe they couldn't deliver what people were expecting. So honestly, seeing them up even just slightly, I think is a win at this point. They double beat, they beat on margin, so triple beat. They're talking about Cybertruck still being on pace for this year, for deliveries this year. They're ramping up a lot of their different facilities. They're ramping up 4680 cells. They're ramping up Texas and Berlin as well. So their margins will probably tick up over the following quarters. And this is another one where you can't just look at what the analysts are expecting and just say, oh, that's a good quarter or that's a bad quarter. Their revenue was a record high. So their highest revenue before today was 24.32 billion. And as I said, now they're at 24.97 billion. So huge beat there, record high numbers there. Free cash flow came in better than most analysts were expecting. I believe it was around $1 billion or so. Their cash also went up. They could possibly buy back shares in the future. Overall, I think that this continues to be a growth story. And when you look at it at an annual rate, it's unbelievable. I mean, if you take this quarter's run rate of $25 billion in revenue, that puts them at $100 billion, which puts them up 25% from last year. And that's if they don't keep on growing throughout the rest of the year, which I think they should. So this continues to be a great growth story. Just keep that in mind as you're seeing headlines and talking heads out there. It's still on pace to grow 50% annually over a long range of years. It'll be interesting to see what they say on their conference call. If you want more Tesla-related content, let me know in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I realize this is a bit of a longer episode, but there's a lot to cover. Again, check out the links underneath the video in case you want some free stocks at moomoo or in case you want to trade on leverage in the crypto market over on Margex. And if you want to know what I'm buying and selling in this market or after earnings like this, you can check out the link down below to the Patreon. Thank you for hitting subscribe and hitting the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.